This story is brought to you by tapeatale.com.
So, this is a story from the first mountain that I climbed. Obviously, it goes into the lower Himalayas actually. Our doctor was from Arunachal Pradesh and he spoke funny. He was the youngest one of the army officers. I was the youngest one of the mountaineers. So we were like the cool kids that hung out and became really awesome friends. By the end of this expedition, Manny was getting married, and he was an orphan from Arunachal. So by the end of this, he was like, Krushnaa, why don't you come along with me to Arunachal, and you can see Arunachal and be at my wedding and be my best man. And I was like, yes! I mean, Christian wedding and best man, that's all I want to do, since I was a child. And so I traveled like alone to Arunachal Pradesh, and I met him, and he was a bachelor and living alone, so I was put up with the fiance. So the fiance was a girl called T2. And T2 was awesome. Me and her got along amazingly well. We drank the local beer, we smoked weedies, we walked around the market checking out boys. She told me about all her ex-boyfriends, and she had a Maharashtrian ex-boyfriend, so she kind of asked me questions in like, how do I say this in Marathi and how do I say that in Marathi? And over the 2 days, by the end of the second day that I'm spending with her, she we speak to the Maharashtrian boyfriend once, we speak to him late at night, the same night, and then she starts asking me questions like, so how do you say I love you in Marathi? And I'm like, me tujha shi prem. I've never said I love you in Marathi myself, so I don't really know. And then the questions got weirder. She was like, so do you know any divorced army people? And I was like, yeah, but like, she's like, does divorce happen differently in the army? And I'm like, okay, this is like getting weird. And I was like, yeah, maybe there's like an army code or something. I don't know. I'm 18, I'm one of 18, I am freshly in a new relationship. Sex is something that has just been discovered, but the varieties of sex really haven't been. And so now, this is the third night. I haven't met Sammy because he's busy with the preparations. I'm kind of with her. I've gone to a bridal store and she's got her fitting done. I stitched a new olive green bridesmaid gown. All that jazz has happened. She's from a reputed political family. So it's kind of, And the third night, so we both had like single beds in this bedroom, and we had nets over them, the massive, huge ceilings and the nets, and you have these big fans that go vroom, 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 vroom. And I got up maybe around 12, which was really midnight because the sun goes down over there by 5. And I heard a moaning, okay? And I kind of freeze, okay? Obviously I know this sound, but I'm like, oh my god. Okay, I shut my eyes, I don't move, I'm like, okay, I'm breathing also like as slowly as possible. And I'm trying to look over at her side, and slowly this crescendo rises, and I didn't even know you could do it over the phone, It's English. I'm like, okay, I hope this is Sammy, because I have only heard both of them speak to each other in their local language. They've never spoken in English with each other. And I'm like, okay. The next morning, I meet Sammy. He's got all his other officer friends, and he kind of says, none of my friends or like my close people like this girl. What do you think about her? And I was like, oh my god. By this time, I called my boyfriend, I called my mother, I told them that, dude, I heard her having phone sex, what do I do? And my mom is like, if you feel like you should really tell him, first find out whether it was him, because maybe it's him. So the first thing I did with Sammy was, are you sure, did you speak to T2, last night? And he was like, no. And then he asked me whether, she's a good girl and all, and I was like, consciously, now should I do this or not? Like, should I tell him or not? It's like the biggest, should I do it or not? Should I do, because It's like your friend, you really like him, you don't want him to get hurt, you know what happened. She's asked about divorce. Okay, so I am like, oh my god, what do I do? And I do finally tell him, like, I actually sat him down and I was like, you know, she was doing it over the phone with this guy from Maharashtra. And by the end of that night, we had about 60 local Arunachali men really pissed off. Full family gathering, Manny and his friends, and this fight happening in the local language. And basically she had turned the story around and said, this girl is in love with my fiance and she has come from Bombay to stop the wedding. And that's why she's doing all this. This is all bullshit. And I mean, my friend actually didn't believe her, but the wedding was the next morning. So there was like very little we could do. And the next morning I stood in front of 1,000 local people that were ready to pull their guns out at any moment at me. Like, it was almost like that. And I stood there in the bridesmaid dress and I handed him the ring that he put on her. It was the best wedding I've ever done.